since the normal sand bottom to the rocky bottom to caves to wrecks that go from a very shallow depths up to depths that are fit for technical diving below the 40 meters. So it's one of the most diverse underwater landscapes, and that is one of the things that make this area a hotspot for diving in Algarve. The visibility here throughout the year usually ranges around the 10 meters. Sometimes with good conditions it can go up to 20 or 30 meters, which is not the average, but it's still quite common with the right weather conditions. In Sagres, due to the conditions of the bottom, which are mostly rocky, the visibility doesn't suffer so much with the wave action, which affects a lot the other part of the Algarve. So here we are sort of gifted in that way, that we can take most part of what the sea has to offer during the most part of the year, because the visibility usually it's quite good to enjoy what the sea has to offer to us. The biology here underwater, since we have the Atlantic from one side and the Mediterranean from the other side, we have two sides mixing up, which creates a huge offer in terms of biodiversity. We have fishes from the north of Africa, some that migrate from the north of Europe as well that pass here, and some that come from the Mediterranean that mix. So here this is like a crossroads, and this mix of waters create perfect conditions for the fish. These waters are full of nutrients, and some of them stop here looking for food, and others stop here because they have nurseries here. It's where they reproduce. Then obviously all this fish action also attracts bigger fish like cetaceans and other kinds. For instance, dolphins are very common in this area. Not unfortunately when we are diving, it's not something that we see often, but we know they're around.
In relation to diving, Lagos is really perfectly situated. We're very close to reefs and wrecks, which are perfect for divers of all skill levels, from beginner, like first-time diver, right through to technical diver, the hardest level, the most experienced level of diving. Our reefs, Atlantic rock reefs, generally range between 20 meters to 5 meters as well for absolute beginner. We've got wrecks as well, ranging from 5-6 meters all the way down to 40 meters. The longest distance we have to travel by boat is 20 minutes to get to one of our wreck sites. The Bagao wreck is only at 6 meters deep, so that's excellent for beginner divers, obviously, who want to see a wreck. And it's also very good for anyone who wants to see marine life as well, as it's kind of an oasis because it's just sand around it. So you get lots of octopus, conger eels, loads of bream and triggerfish all going there and to breed and to seek shelter. The reef site's excellent for conger eels, especially the walls, because there's lots of holes created by natural erosion that eels and other fish can hide in. So it's great for anyone who likes to poke around the reefs with their torches to see what they can find. Our sites are also brilliant for things like octopus, bream, Atlantic reef fish like wrasse and gobies, blennies. Scorpion fish as well we have, which also, quite exciting fish to see. They look very different. The wrecks as well, despite only being down since November 2012, they're already attracting large schools of bream, schools of sea bass, triggerfish. Seeing a lot, we've had sightings of sunfish and amberjack on there as well. So already they get exploding with marine life, and this is just going to get better and better as time goes on. As well, safety-wise underwater, the Algarve is very, very safe. There's not really dangerous jellyfish or dangerous stinging underwater animals like sea snakes, or even sharks, anything like that. It's all quite friendly, safe environment to dive in. There's no dangerous corals or fragile, overly fragile coral ecosystems. So people who've never dived before can easily find their feet as well in the Algarve, so which does make it perfect for learning to dive.
Como destino, o Algarve já se situa no top 10 dos destinos de eleição em termos de mergulho, pelo facto de termos um grande argumento e um novo argumento que se chama Ocean Revival, um projeto extraordinário que consta no afundamento de 4 navios da Marinha Portuguesa e que temos uma equipa especializada para guiar mergulhadores neste parque subaquático e que na realidade também se tem traduzido de um grande aumento de procura nos últimos meses à nossa empresa.
Ocean Revival project started about 7 years ago, so this will help to increase the biodiversity in this area. So right now it's concluded. We did it in a way that is perfectly safe for all dives, for all levels of diving. The keel of these ships is about 31 meters deep, but the upper structures go to the 15-16 meters. All the ship was absolutely prepared for diving. It means that if you go inside the ship, you can go along it and always have several exits, horizontal exits, vertical exits, and we also have archaeological wrecks. We take care of one wreck from 759. It was a huge battle that happened here near Portimão between the French and the English during the 7-year war. One of them it's called the Ocean, and it's basically an underwater archaeological museum. What we did was to put some metal plates in Portuguese and English with a description of what the people were seeing down there. There were cannons, if there were anchors, bronze guns, and of course then there is a trail connecting all these archaeological stations. This place it's only at 6 meters, between 6 to 8 meters deep, and it's a perfect aquarium.
Então, a subnauta dedicou-se já durante algum tempo ao levantamento de toda a diversidade que existe de lesmas do mar na costa algarvia e conseguir inventariar 115 espécies.
Here in Albufeira we have a variety of divers with different experiences, from complete beginner to very experienced. The dive sites that we have here vary from as little as 8 meters up to an average of around 24 meters. We have mostly reef dives with some really nice wall and rock formations with many holes in, where we find lots of congers and morays, so many octopus here and cuttlefish. Then it's great for photography, for people doing courses as well. Apart from the reefs, we also have some artificial reefs for people that are a bit more experienced, that go to 30 meters. These were sunk along the coast in 2001, and we can dive these, and they're around 30 meters, on top around 24, and there you get 2 meter long congers, octopus and really big fish, because the fishermen can't go there, so they grow really big. We've also got a wall that's nice, over 3 kilometers long, and you can dive there and have a look in and around the rocks, and this goes down to around 24-25 meters, and as shallow as 13-14 on top, so it's good for all levels of divers. But from our boat in Albufeira, we go from Vila Moura all the way to Armancel de Pera on the boat.
We can dive all over the Algarve. We do dive trips regularly to other spots, but of course our two bases, Faro and Tavira, it's where we regularly dive. The dive center in Faro, Mars Diving Center, with all the gear provided by this brand, being the first 5 stars body dive center in the Eastern Algarve, as well as a Disabled Divers International Dive Center. The dive sites in Faro, we have from the wrecks to natural reefs and the artificial reefs. We have dives from the 30 meters deep to a much shallower, allowing any beginner to start with. We operate here in Tavira with a 7.5 meter rib, which we limited to 8 passengers, having in the water 2 groups, a maximum 4 people each for each guide. There are plenty of dive sites here. We have 2 main wrecks that we go very often, less than 15 minutes away from where we are. It's the Titan and its crane, 25 meters deep, a completely intact wreck. Pedra do Barril, which is even the most important dive that we have in the area, a natural reef that goes from 20 meters deep, and where you can see the corals Dendrophila ramea, quite difficult to see. In fact, at this depth, the only place you can see them in Portugal. You have also very interesting dive sites at shallow depth, like Pedra de Cacela, Pedra de Lacém, which you can dive from 9 to 12 meters, allowing junior open water divers, beginners, discover scuba diving programs to be held right there at these very interesting dive sites.